Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Fine. So if you are not able to connect, please make sure you have proper rules in the uh, security group of DB instance. So there is something called as a default security group. I'll just explain that. So,
So,
so
Shrikant,
default.
one doubt here. So,
Mhm. Yeah, go ahead.
we had used password to connect, right? Like, is there any way to enable the passwordless using this connectivity?
Passwordless. No, I need to check on that. I really don't know at this point in time, but I'll get back to you.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was just explaining the default security group. So default security group. So if you actually yesterday I changed that rules, but if you usually see the default security group which gets created automatically, you will see the rule looks like this: that all traffic and which will be allowed from the same default group. So there will be an ID of a default security group. So ID of default security group. Okay, so what is a how it will behave is basically all traffic within this default security group is allowed. So that means if I have two EC2 instances or whatever DB instances, and if I assign this rule to them, so the first one is also having default security group, the second one is also having default security group. So only traffic allowed is between them. No other external traffic is allowed. So yesterday, actually I changed this rule, all traffic from 000. So from anywhere it can take the connection. But if you go by the default rules, this is how it will look. All traffic within that default security group will be allowed.
Shrikant, are you talking?
No, no. I'm just waiting for you guys to complete the exercise.
So Shrikant,
Okay.
after we connect to MySQL from
Mhm.
Unix box, do you have a couple of commands that I can try?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can try show databases semicolon. It will give the internal database names.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is all. I mean, once you connect it, that's fine. So that is the then you can run any normal SQL commands.
Okay. Thank you.
Fine. So everybody is able to connect, or you still.
So, Shrikant, one doubt. So, For a database, there will be a cluster ID associated with it, right? Like where we can see that information? DB cluster ID.
No, there is no cluster. I mean, which particular database you are referring to?
Any database, right? Like if RDS database, once we create it,
Mhm.
any DB
No, there will
cluster
be a
ID which
ID
is
there.
created.
There is a ID. So if you say DB identifier, this is the ID.
Mhm. Okay, the identifier is the ID. Okay.
Yeah, identifier is the ID. And you actually communicate on endpoint. This is the endpoint on which you actually communicate.
Okay.
Fine. So yeah, so everybody is able to communicate to DB instance. If you face any issues, please let me know. Please check the rules in the security group of DB instance. If you are unable to come. Okay, so once you are done with the exercise, what you can do, you can go to DB instance and delete it. So I'll just show you that there will be uh, one second, let me just open this. Once you select it, go to actions and delete it. So while deleting, it will say, are you sure you want to delete the database instance and create a final snapshot? Just uncheck this. We don't want the final snapshot. So backups are kept in terms of snapshots. That is what we have seen yesterday. Similar to your EBS volume snapshots, DB snapshots are there. Okay. So just type delete me here and acknowledge this so that it will start deleting the database instance.
So Srikanth, while we created the database, right?
Mhm.
We saw a backup being triggered. So before it completely
Yes,
gets available. So where does
right.
this automatic snapshot go and sit?
It will go to this snapshots on the left side. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah. So once you take a snapshot, it will be kept here.
Okay.
Fine. So everybody has completed, or shall I wait for some time? Yeah, once you are done, please delete the DB instances and also the EC2 instances. Whenever we need it, we can just create it quickly. Let it not be running all the time. Hello, guys, please answer. Shall I wait or shall I continue?
You can continue.
I think we can continue, Srikanth.
Okay, fine. So just please delete these instances, DB instances and EC2 instances. Okay. So few concepts we will cover regarding relational database. Okay. So there is one more concept that is called as read replica. Now yesterday we have seen that the database comes in two modes, database instance. One is the single AZ and multi-AZ, right? Multi-AZ. Now there is another concept called as read replica. So what is read replica? Now suppose I have my main DB instance and I have got an endpoint, and my clients are communicating on this endpoint. Now there are two types of queries which are hitting my database. One are update, so basically insert or update kind of queries, and other are purely read queries. Somebody is generating a report on this database instance. Those are read queries. They are not doing any updates to the database. But these read queries also, they put a lot of load on the main database. So the performance hampers because of the read type of queries which are hitting the database. So there is a concept of read replica. What you can do from the main database instance, you can create a read replica. Now this read replica will be actually a DB instance only, and it will have an endpoint, separate endpoint. And the data between the main database and the read replica is copied asynchronously. Okay, so we have seen in multi-AZ the the data is copied synchronously, so that at any given point in time they are perfectly in sync. Now, which is not the case with read replica. Read replica, there will be some amount of lag between the data which is there on the main database and the data which is there in the read replica. But for the running query, running read type queries or running reports, we don't need latest data. So maybe maybe few minutes before the data which is old, few minutes before, that's fine for running reports, right? So the report clients, they can connect on this endpoint and run their reports. But this basically reduces lot of load on the main database instance. Okay. Now this read replica can be created across regions also. So I can suppose I'm working in North Virginia and I create a read replica in Ohio. So the replication will happen there. So it is a kind of a database DR. What you can do it, database DR. Okay. you can set it up. Now suppose you are, so in the read replica, the write queries are not allowed, right? So only you can read from this endpoint. Now suppose your main database goes down, then you can promote this as a normal database instance. Suppose something happens and this main database has gone down, then you can promote this. So your normal clients can communicate on this endpoint. Okay, so that is the concept of a read replica. When we discussed vertical scaling and horizontal scaling, so usually in a traditional RDS instance, we cannot horizontally scale it. We suppose I have a DB instance and my queries, I say they are getting delayed. Then the only way to upgrade is vertically scale it, right? So you can change the type from DB T2 microsay to another type, but there will be one stop and start cycle that will happen. So usually they are vertically scaled, but at a read replica, you can say it is a kind of horizontal scaling because we are sharing some load, which is basically a read load, but you can compare this with as a horizontal scaling in a relational database. Okay, so that is the concept of read replica. Another service, another actually database engine I want to talk about is Amazon Aurora. So Aurora is their proprietary engine, and this is MySQL or PostgreSQL compatible, and you can select it from the console which compatibility you want. Now the way Amazon Aurora works is a little different. So I will show you the slides. So this is the Aurora. So here, what is being done here is you have read up to 15 read replicas. But here, the how the data is stored is little different from the multi-AZ option. So in the multi-AZ, you have a primary, you have a secondary, and they have individual storages. So here it is a shared storage. It is called cluster storage volume. So these are basically the different availability zones, and we can create actually in the backend, Aurora will create a cluster, the database cluster, and one will be primary. So this will be primary, and this will be the read replicas. So you can go up to 64 terabyte currently as the size. So this is called Aurora cluster. So there will be a primary, which is a master, and then there are multiple read replicas. Okay, so read replicas will have their separate endpoint. Okay, so that is how Aurora functions. So keep this in mind, which is very scalable and high performance database engine from Amazon. Now there is some offering as Aurora Global. So what it does is, if you create a Aurora cluster in one region, there will be a read replicas created in another region. So this is called Aurora Global. So just now I explained the concept of a read replica across region. So the same concept it leverages, but here how the data is structured is little different. In the background, it will create a data volume cluster. So this is a cluster storage volume that will be created. Okay, so that is called Aurora Global. Now there is another concept that is called as Aurora Serverless. So here what happens is serverless means there will be a server, there will be a database at the back end, but how it functions is you create a Aurora serverless cluster and you need not have to bother about the sizing of the database engine. So as your queries goes on increasing, it will be auto provisioned at the backend. Okay, so that is called Aurora serverless. So these are few types and different facilities available in Aurora. Okay, so if you go here, conceptually you should know how Aurora functions and what is difference between normal RDS and Aurora. So we'll not be creating a cluster, but I will just show you how it looks like. So this has become very slow. Okay. So Aurora, if I go ahead and select, I have these options here. Okay. So MySQL or PostgreSQL. So there are a lot of options here. Provision. This is a provision and manage the server instance sizes. Provision with Aurora parallel query. There is option of parallel query, and this is Aurora serverless. So you have three options here, just like your single AZ, multi AZ. Now it is anyway, it is a shared data cluster. So you have different options here. So serverless, if I go specify the minimum and maximum resources, I can do that, and then it will auto scale at the backend. Okay. So once I go and create this, it looks similar to your MySQL. So it will have an endpoint. The master will have a separate endpoint. The read replica will have a separate endpoint. Okay, so it will ask me, so create a replica in a different zone. So I need to specify that, and then those many replicas will be created in a different zone. So you can go up to 15 read replicas for the single master. Okay, so that is how Aurora functions at the backend. Fine. Yeah, any questions on RDS service as such? No questions?
So, Srikanth, like
Yeah.
when you can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, for Aurora, right? Like, okay, on a real-time scenario, like if being an enterprise, if we need to kind of move into this database, like example, like we will already be using something like Oracle or like MySQL, right? When
Right.
during our migration journey, if you need to kind of move into Aurora, so is it something which Amazon gives us help, or like how it is, like, because since it's been provisioned by them itself
Right.
and
There is
supported?
actually a service that is available in AWS itself for database migration. So from one database type, you can move into another database type. So that is not in the scope, but I'll just show you that service. So this is their migration services. Okay. So if you go to database migration service, from one engine to another engine, the conversion of schema is supported. Okay, so database migration class. So you can go through this how it functions. So you have on-prem database which is in Oracle, and you want to migrate it to say Aurora. So there are of course certain limitations. From anywhere to anywhere you cannot do that, but this is the service how you can do it. So it will basically create a DB instance in AWS, and then it will slowly copy your schema there, and then so here there are some options here. Database, so on-prem Oracle database to Aurora. So this is the document. RDS Oracle instance to Aurora, SQL Server to Aurora, Oracle database to PostgreSQL. So these are conversions which are available. Okay, so so if you have
Srikanth, your voice is
please
breaking.
go through this to give you fair idea about how to migrate Oracle to this. These services are support. They have to sign a contract with Amazon, and then they will be able to help you out. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I
Sure,
answer
Srikanth. Yeah.
your question? Yeah.
Yes, Srikanth.
Yeah. Okay. So that is about the database migration. So so those services are available to you. But on top of that, if you need technical support, you can get it. You'll have to sign the support agreement with Amazon. Fine. So let's go to our next service. So I think kindly delete all your DB instances and EC2 instances. Please go ahead and delete them so that you have space for other exercises. Yeah, Mohan, and there are 4 databases still remaining. Please delete those. Yeah. Okay. So the next service, what we are going to look at is, it depends upon a concept, infra as a code. Now, what has happened recently is basically because of virtualization, and so you can now, yesterday we have done a detailed exercise on VPC. So all the network components, what we created were actually virtual components, right? So because of virtualization, now it is possible to create your infrastructure by writing a code. Okay, so that is a new concept which is coming up. And almost all clouds they support this concept. So AWS also supports, and the service name is CloudFormation. Okay. Service name is CloudFormation. So here, how it functions is there is something called as a template, and so the template, there are 2 formats which are supported. One is JSON format, and other is YAML format. So there are certain predefined keywords which are there, which are available in the CloudFormation template development guide. But these are the 2 formats which are supported in CloudFormation. So what you need to do, you need to create a template using JSON or YAML. And from this template, what you do, you create something called as a stack. So you create a stack. So it's a infrastructure stack, and whatever resources are mentioned in this JSON or YAML template will be created for you. Okay. So suppose if I say,
to get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely.
EC2 instances I want to create, or database instances I want to create, or VPC. all I need to do is I need to code it in a proper format in JSON and YAML, and then create a stack, and it will create the stack. Okay. So this comes under some kind of automation. So there are multiple ways to create the infrastructure. One is the console, what we have been doing so far. So go to console, create whatever resources you want. Other is AWS CLI or SDK. That is another option. So you write a code in CLI and it will create all that infrastructure. And third is this cloud formation. Now, where it is useful in production, suppose you want to create say 50 servers, a big setup you want to do. So no need to do it. Go to console and do it manually. If you do it manually, there are great chances of making mistake because it is a repetitive task and people make mistakes in repetitive tasks. So instead of that, what you can do, you can create a template, you can create a stack and create that infrastructure. Now you can use it in multiple ways. For example, there is a test infrastructure you want to create and there is a testing cycle. So after every 2 months, you need to create the infrastructure and then dismantle it. That is the kind of scenario. Just create a template, run that template, all infrastructure will be created. And whenever you don't need it, just delete that stack. Again, when you need it, you create a stack. So it becomes very easy to create the infrastructure when you need it. Okay, so that is one service that is available in AWS. Now there are third-party tools also. Somebody was talking about Terraform. Terraform is basically you can write your templates, and so it supports multiple clouds, I believe, and then you can create those templates and run them and create stacks. So let us see. Let us go to cloud formation. So I just wanted to make sure that all instances. Shall I terminate these instances which are running?
Yes.
Can I do that? Enable to update. This. This is not deleting. Fine. So similarly, please delete all your RDS instances. Let me just make sure that everything is deleted. Okay. So marker DB, please go ahead and delete it. I delete it.
Srikanth, I tried to delete that Ashok MySQL, but it's not this enabling this delete option.
Okay. And I'll
Delete.
stopping. Okay, I think we are good. This was your instance, marker BDB. Okay.
Yeah, now I have done it.
Fine. So let me just show you the cloud formation. So here in the management and governance, you have cloud formation. So here, so plus let me show this and then you can create a sample stack. So there are three ways. One is template is ready. That means you have created a JSON or YAML template and you can just upload it and create a stack from it. Otherwise, there are certain sample templates or there is a designer tool. So I will just show you this in some time. So I will use some sample templates. Let me see what I have here. Last night is LambStack actually gave me an error. I don't know why. Okay, let us create a Ruby on Rails stack. So this is a sample stack, and so when I select it, it will be available in a S3 bucket. So this is the bucket name and the folder, and it will be taken from there. Okay. So I will just show you how it looks like, what components it is going to create. So let me check that. Okay, so this is going to create two components. One is the security group and other is the instance. On this instance, it will be installing all the Ruby on Rails required components. Now, what I wanted to show you was once I open this here, it gives me the details of the template, how this code is generated here. Okay, so there is a JSON format, there is a YAML format. Okay, so it will, if you switch it, it will show it in particular format. So suppose I go to JSON format. Now here there are various fields here. So here first field is parameters. So first is the AWS template format, version, description, etc. Is it visible to you, or shall I increase the font?
Yeah, increase the font.
Yeah. Okay. Is it visible now? Fine. So this is the parameter section. So parameter section, I have this key name. So where whatever is mentioned in the parameter section is actually when this template is run, the user can input those parameters. So key name, this now since it is creating a EC2 instance, it will ask me the key name, what key names should be used. DB name, so this is basically the database name the user can key in. DB username, because it is going to install MySQL database software on that, and for that it is going to create one DB user. DB password, then DB root password, then instance type. Now here default will be T2 small, but there will be a drop down and you can select whatever type you want. Okay, so these are all in the parameter section. Similarly, the SSH location. So this is related to the security group rules that will be put automatically. And then there is a mapping. So mapping is a kind of a lookup table in the template. Now this template can be run in any region. So first, before that, first mapping is the architecture mapping. So when you select T2 micro, what is the architecture it is going to support? So that is, there is a mapping there. And another mapping is for the AMI ID. To scroll down. So depending upon your region, suppose I run it in North Virginia region, then I will be referring to, depending upon my architecture, which is selected in terms of the type of the instance, I will be selecting a particular AMI, right? So this template can be run in any region, right? So we should make sure that it runs seamlessly. So those AMI IDs will be picked up according to the region. Okay, so that is the mapping section. So all these things you need to code in the template, and you can create a stack. Let us scroll down. So resources, this is actually the only compulsory section in this whole template. Okay, so wherever Now resources, we have this resource web server, which is a logical resource. When the template is run and a physical EC2 instance will be created. So there will be a mapping between a logical name here and a physical name. Okay. So here what is mentioned here is AWS EC2 instance. That is the type. Now this thing is predefined in the Amazon CloudFormation. The way it works, these things are predefined. So you'll have to refer to the development guide if you want to really write a template. So metadata, CloudFormation init, install CFN, install Ruby, install MySQL. So this is in the format in which it will install the different components. So here it is mentioned install CFN. So this is the configuration file which is being edited here. Then you have the reloader config, and fine. So this is related to the Ruby on Rails configuration part, and then you have install Ruby. So command install Ruby command, and then it goes to a log and etc. Then for installing MySQL, there are certain commands here. So it will be MySQL server, client, development, libs, etc. So all these things are mentioned here. What is to be installed? Okay. So let me just show this. Let me run this template and create a sample stack. So to do that, first I need to validate this template so that syntactically everything is correct. Now, since we have taken it from a sample template, it should be valid template. So template is valid. Now, if I click on create stack, fine. So we have seen this in designer. Now let me go next and let me give a stack name. So this is the these are coming from the parameter section of the template. Now DB password I will give. Root password. Username. Now you can hard code this also. It is not necessary that all the time user should enter it. It depends upon the way you write your template. Okay, so this is the key. This also can be hard coded. And now let me create it. So let's see. Then it creates. Okay, so this is now create is in progress. If I click on resources, you will see that there is a security group that is getting created here. So that is created. Now one EC2 instance is in the process of creation, and this is the instance ID, which is the physical ID, which will get mapped to this logical ID, which is mentioned in the template web server, right? Right. So if you go to events, it will show you what events are happening. So web server, this got created. So it will take some time. So once the stack is ready, in the output, you will get one HTTP link so that we can access our Ruby on Rails. So let this finish creation. Okay, so this is your template that is being shown. So let us wait for a couple of minutes and then we will see the output here. So here, actually, if you go to this instance, you will see this. This is getting created. This is coming from CloudFormation. So it is actually installing MySQL and everything. That is why it is taking some time. Okay, let's wait. So what I suggest, just for the hands-on exercise, you can create this stack Ruby on Rails. So just select that sample template and try to create a stack. Can you do that?
Yep.
Yes, Srikant.
Just go ahead and do it because it is taking some time. One second.
Can you please repeat the once again the stack creation and all? Srikant.
Shrikant, after validating the template, do we need to save that?
I think validate and then create stack. So that will take back to the template section.
We don't need to change that
Hello?
instance type inside the template. Do we need to change the instance type inside the template?
I just missed that. What was it? Actually, there was some pause in between. Can you please repeat that?
Inside the template while validating, do we need to change
Uh-huh.
the instance type to T2 micro and
No, not in the template. Actually, when you run it, it is a user input you can give.
okay, fine, yeah, okay. Just we can validate, that's it, right? No need to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
any change.
No changes.
Okay,
At the runtime, you select T2 micro.
okay, fine.
Yeah, let me see if the output is ready. Okay. So resources, events. Fine. It is taking some time. Let's see. Because there's a lot of things it is doing. It could have gone for a. Last time I tried the this one, the block site, but it gave me some error saying that because that there was an error in the template in the sense the PHP version was not matching. So this time I'm trying Ruby on Rails. Fine, we'll start. So I think my this thing has rolled back. I think many people have got this rollback message. I see only Sickle Stack has completed.
But the
So
is different, I think.
uh,
Sickle used LAMP stack and one more thing. They have used some other type, so it has come with that.
okay, so they have used LAMP stack. Okay, I think there is some error with the earlier. This LAMP stack gave me an error. That is why I shifted to the Ruby on Rails. But I think he has created with LAMP stack. So there is some issue with the. So Ratish also, I think it is WordPress website. Okay, we could have done that. Let us do that. So just So let us see Ratish stack. There is a link here in the output. So all of you can see this. So including me, we tried to create a Ruby on Rails, and that has failed. So when something fails, the peculiarity of CloudFormation is it will roll back everything. So suppose there are say 10 resources to be created and 5 are created, and on the 6th there is a problem, then it will not leave those 5, it will roll back everything. So that is a good part. So that is what has happened in our cases. So if you go through the rollback events, you will see that there is an error here. Failed to receive one resource signal within the specified duration. So what has happened is it creates a security group and it creates a web server. It waits for some time. If it doesn't receive that response within that time, it is rolling back. Okay. So that is what has happened for this thing. Ruby on Rails stack. But other people have one person, Ratish, I think he has created for web this thing. What was the stack name? Look, this was for Ratish. What was it? So this was WordPress Express. So this got completed, and now you will find this link here. So with the help of that, so here, this is the error I got last time. That is why I shifted to the other stack. But here also it gave me error. So I think the LAMP stack got completed. Let me see. So this is LAMP stack. Let's see. Yeah, LAMP stack got completed. Okay, so this is just a Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP stack, and this is a sample PHP page that will get loaded. So just for completeness, what we can do, we can create a stack and use a LAMP stack. So that doesn't take much time. So for completeness, otherwise this will be rolled back. So let me just create a stack, and I will use the sample template. This time we'll just select LAMP stack. Very simple LAMP stack, and then I will just. So all of you who have tried earlier the Ruby on Rails, it has failed, and now we can try this LAMP stack. This is completing successfully. All of you are getting what happened. So it tried to create the resource, but
please enroll our general membership for $3.99 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $3.99 plan, and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.